Hydroid is often seen only as AFK farming frame. Most people use him only to stay in one room during survival missions. But in this guide, I will show you how to improve your Hydroid, turn him into endgame powerhouse, and I'm talking about powerful shield gating, armor stripping, getting additional loot from enemies, making insane damage, and most importantly, just having fun because this build is super simple. I'll also show you how to tweak this build to suit your needs. About that later. Okay, let's start, shall we? First, we'll start with skills. I'll explain to you every skill and the passive ability of Hydroid. So let's start the first one. Okay, so passive ability of a Hydroid is pretty interesting. Enemies damaged by Hydroid are permanently more vulnerable to corrosive status. Because of that, we can reach even 100% armor reduction at full stacks. If you want to see that, the affected enemies will have a translucent water dripping symbol over their head. Unfortunately, bosses are immune to that. First ability, Tempest Barrage, really cool ability. You're just making area of damage. What's super important is that we are getting tons of viral damage here. I'll boost that later with Augmented Mod. This ability is really powerful, but with other abilities it's even better. Second ability, Tidal Search. We won't be using that. I replaced the ability with something else. Why? Because this ability is not really that useful. I don't like using it. It's also pretty annoying to move around. If you really want something to move faster, I will just put, I don't know, even infested ability will be better. So what I did here is I replaced this ability with the ability from Wisp, Breed Search. Breed Search is a really cool ability. You can even blind enemies over the overguard. It's pretty cool, especially when you have those high level Eximus. And yeah, that's why we need it. Then we have Plunder, a really good ability. It's reducing armor from nearby enemies and also increases your corrosive damage. It's a really good ability, especially if there are many enemies around you. It works great with the first ability. And then the last ability, Tentacle Swarm. This is the signature ability of Hydroid and those tentacles. And so we'll use that, obviously. It's a great ability. You can stun a lot of enemies, not the enemies with overguards, so not like Eximus and all. You have to remember that. But other than that, it's just great. You can just stand, basically kill the enemies that are going into the tentacles. Okay, before we'll go to the another segment, yeah, thank you for watching, and if you like the video, leave a like, I'll make more. So this build works really well with a shotgun, because enemies will be in the air in one position, held by a tentacle. They'll be also pretty close to you, so you can just aim and kill them pretty easily. Here I'm using my Exergis, really good weapon. Here you can see my build. Basically, we are using the ammo stock to get 60% magazine capacity. That means we have 2 shots, and we are using primed tactical pump to reload it super fast. Because of that, we can basically kill enemies super fast. We have 2 shots, it's more than enough to kill almost any enemy. Works really well. Enemies are just, staying in the air, so you can just aim and kill them pretty easily. You can also use different shotgun or a sniper rifle, whatever you really want, but I would suggest using a shotgun. It works great. With this build, I also love using the pole arms, like Lesion, Orthos, Harmony, or, for example, the new weapon, Amanata. It works great because enemies are held by your tentacles, you have enough range to hit them, and you don't have to just run around and kill everyone on your way. Okay, so what we'll focus on this build is shield gating. We will use Brief Respite and Catalyzing Shields, in addition to Augur Message and Augur Reach. So whenever we are using an ability, we are generating a shield, and because of that, we can, if you're using abilities all the time, you are literally immortal. We are focusing here mostly on duration, a little bit on range, and a little bit of strength. As you can see, here you have my stats. Duration is 209%, efficiency 100, range 130%, and strength 144%. I like when duration is pretty long with Hydroid. Even if the damage is lower, I don't have to cast the abilities so many times. We've been also using 2 Augmented Mods. Pilfering Swarm is a Tentacle Swarm Augmented Mod. It makes that enemies that are held by tentacles have 100% chance at additional drops. So it's a great mod if you wanna drop something while playing, if you wanna farm and all. But if you just wanna beat a level and you wanna play some really hard Steel Path or, I don't know, Archon Hunt, then you can just swap it for something else. And we also have Viral Tempest. It's for Tempest Barrage augment. Each projectile has a 100% chance of inflicting a viral status effect. This makes the first ability just great. We are making a lot of damage, we are stripping armor, we combine all of those abilities together, we are just destroying everyone. I'm using Mold Augmented to get a little bit more of ability strength, and I'm using Arcane Energize to have more energy. You can replace those things if you wanna use different arcanes, but those are my favorite ones. I'm also using Primed Surefooted on my Exilus slot. If you wanna use something else, here you have my propositions. So you can use Handspring if you don't have Primed Surefooted. I would also use Speed Drift if you don't have the Archon Shards for casting speed. And if you really wanna, you can also use Power Drift to have more ability strength and this 30% chance to resist knockdown. Okay, so here I have my build. So other mods I'm using here is Primed Continuity to have more duration, Primed Flow because we want a lot of energy so we can use that to generate shields, and Umbral Intensify to just have more strength. Yeah, also using the Aura Brief Respite. On ability cast, Squad converts 150% of energy spent to shields while over shields are inactive. So this is pretty cool and it complements the catalyzing shields and augur mods we have here. Okay, so this build is pretty good, but sometimes you might struggle. If you are playing some endgame modes, you can swap the catalyzing shields, for example, for Umbral Vitality. That's what I use for my Deep Dive Archimedia build to have a little bit more health. Or you can use also Adaptation, or my favorite, Rolling Guard. If you don't also want to use Pilfering Swarm, I will change it for Stretch or Augur Secrets. Depends if you want a more range or more ability strength. Here I'm using 5 Archon Shards. And what you have here, we have 1 Archon Shard for health, 2 Archon Shards for casting speed, and 2 Archon Shards for ability duration. The casting speed is, I think, pretty self-explanatory. I just want the abilities to be casted faster, especially the 4th one. Then you have a little bit more health, it's always useful, especially with the shield gating. A little bit more health can save your life before you will use an ability. And more duration, because I just like having more duration with this build. Okay, but how to actually use this build? What you wanna do is use the first ability. We are doing the area of damage. We can use the Breach Surge, the second ability, to blind them. Then the Plunder to take the armor. And the 4th ability, Tentacle Swarm, to basically stun most of the enemies. You just have to remember that Eximos or bosses, they won't be stunned, so you just have to kill them. And that's what I'm usually doing. I'm just using all of those abilities, focusing on Eximos, because they are the targets that can actually hit me. And then I'm just killing the enemies that are grabbed by the tentacles. New enemies that are going close to me are also being grabbed. You can run around the level, use those abilities whenever you really want, kill the enemies around you. And yeah, you don't have to stay in one room. But staying in one room has a lot of advantages. Basically, the enemies that have more range, they can't attack you because they have to come close to you. You have tentacles, they'll grab them. So this works pretty well. But if you wanna play more actively, you wanna play other missions than defense or survival, you can. Hydroid is great. I'm playing almost every mission with him. And yeah, he's capable of doing anything. I'm also streaming on Twitch, so if you're interested with build channel, you wanna play with me maybe, then everything is in the description. I'm streaming 10 PM, Monday, Wednesday and Friday, Central European time. You can just check my schedule on Twitch, by the way. And so yeah, thank you and bye bye!